Hi, I'm LDS in Medium, and thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to try to bring religion and spirituality closer together, and this is what this pod is all about. I will talk about my own thoughts and feelings as I am both LDS and have spiritual gifts, something that I've had my whole life, but I always thought that it was hard to combine these gifts with my religion. This has torn me into two directions, and I have talked to many people who feel the same way. I can't choose not to have my spiritual gifts, but I can choose how I use them. And I always want to use them for good and to help others. I believe my heavenly parents gave them to me for a reason. So, this is me. Join my quest for knowledge.
Men versus Women, Part 1. I would like to start with a disclaimer. I'm not a feminist. I don't think women are better than men. This is just my way of processing information. My son told me, "Yes, Mom, I get it. Women are better than men." And I realized that I had failed in writing a good episode. But I don't want to rewrite it, so I'm using it as it came to me. Just pointing out that I do believe we are created equal. But since I'm a woman, I have an easier time identifying with the female aspect of this. And I don't want to come across as thinking that's better, just different. Tigers and lions might look the same, but they aren't. But is one better than the other? No, just different. And with that said, let's start. I'm a bit struck by this chapter. I learned so many new things that I honestly hadn't heard before. But before I start spilling the beans on what's going on between men and women, I want to start from the beginning of chapter 5 and Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage by Mark Gungor. So I'm going to start with a direct quote from the book. Men and women are different. We just are. Our bodies are obviously different. Our behavior is different. And as it turns out, our brains are different too. Well, obviously we are different. I can just look at my mom and dad. They are each other's opposite in every way, shape, and form. Looking at my marriage, that was also the truth between me and my ex-spouse. I honestly have to say that I've been harboring a secret resentment for something he said in the beginning of our marriage. We were sitting in church, and it was Mother's Day in Sweden, which is a Sunday in May. I guess this should have been somewhere around May 2002 because we had our daughter, but our son wasn't yet born. Anyway, we were sitting in church and listening to this wonderful talk from a man to his wife where he spoke about how women communicate. I leaned over to my ex and said, "Are you listening to what he's saying?" His response was, "I don't understand women and there is no point in trying." I think that was about 2 years into our marriage when I got that in my face. "I don't get you and I never will" was my interpretation of that. Or maybe more accurately, "I don't have enough interest in you to even try." I guess our communication only went downhill from there. I've been carrying this with me ever since. And now reading this chapter, I start to understand why. Just a heads up, this might be such a long episode that I might need to divide it into more. I'll just see how it goes. The fact that we seem to be different species almost besides how our bodies are created is never more obvious than in how our brains function. Instead of starting off the chapter where the author goes, I'm going to jump to the juicy part and then go back to the beginning. So I learned that somewhere while the baby is still in the belly around weeks 18 to 26, these two hormones starts to have massively impact on the fetus. So let's start with the little baby boy, all warm and fuzzy, not a worry in the world, and then testosterone hits him. What does testosterone do to a baby's brain? Well, if what I'm reading is correct, testosterone, I don't want to use the word attacks, but in a way it kills off the nerve fibers, the corpus callosum that connects the different brain hemispheres. The connection between the right and the left brain hemisphere is being destroyed, maybe not completely, but enough to make communication between them really strenuous. So what does that really mean? It means that men tend to be more into having one prominent brain half that they work mostly from, because it takes effort to switch to the other. He uses a visionary image of a man sitting with two computers, one on the left and one on the right, using one while the other is resting, then needing to start the other. I'm adding, send an email to the other computer with information of what it wants processed there, then process it, write a response and send it back to the first computer, because there is no cable connecting the two computers. Mark says that as much as 85% of all men tend to use the left brain half, which stands for logic and reasoning. The little girls inside the belly gets a boost of estrogen in about the same time as the little boy gets his testosterone boost. Estrogen works a little bit different in the body and brain of a girl. Instead of diminishing the connection between the brain halves, it fires it up and makes it rapidly increase even more. So what does that mean? Women have supercharged highways between the two brain halves, like the LA intersections, going back and forth at the speed of lightning. In our brains, it's like watching popcorn being heated or a really good ping pong match, but with multiple players and balls at the same table at the same time. So the superpower of the man is to be able to focus, concentrate, and to block everything else out and put 100% focus on just one thing. The superpower of the woman, on the other hand, is to notice and process everything around you on multiple layers and in different aspects at the same time. Does this mean one thing is better than the other? No, God created us to partner up so that we can be each other's complements throughout life. Sometimes the razor-sharp focus is needed, and sometimes there needs to be split vision and an ability to take in a massive amount of information and process it fast. Now I want to go back to the beginning. Knowing what we know now, with how the brain is functioning for males and females, we need to understand that we both have our strengths and weaknesses. And since we have each other's strengths as weaknesses and vice versa, we are put here in pairs to learn to depend on each other's strengths to cover for our weaknesses. The thing is, before I knew this, I didn't know this. You get where I'm going with my thinking. If you don't know this, it's really simple for me as a woman to just assume that this is how everyone is functioning. Since all my girlfriends function in the same way, and I didn't know any better, I often got frustrated when all my signals were lost in translation, so to speak. It also makes me a little frustrated that all courses I've had seems to talk about us women and how to understand men better. Like, hey, what about me? I want to be understood too. I want someone who at least tries to understand me. But if he only has one functioning computer at the same time, and I have this awesome supercomputer matrix in my head, will we ever be able to meet in any sort of harmony?
This is my journey. Thank you so much for keeping me company today. Please download, like, share, and subscribe, and help spread the light and spread the word to expand our community. Let's bring more love, peace, and unity to this world. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Always be grateful, kind, and loving. Be brave and remember to step out of your comfort zone and smile. If you support us on Patreon, you will get access to our meditations and extra materials so you can download them as MP3. Also, we now have a Facebook group, which you can access from our Facebook community. Please answer the questions as you apply to participate. It will be a safe haven where we can keep discussing religion and spirituality, our spiritual gifts, and self-development. Remember, one person can make a difference, but together we can change the world.